Well, we just got a bit of new information, Stu. Police have just identified the victims. We had told you yesterday they're a local couple who live north of here, and indeed they've been identified as 48-year-old Terry Altman and 55-year-old Brenda Altman. Police continue to work on this with all available resources. However, at this point, the chief tells us they still don't know whether this was random or personal.
All right, man. The Altmans. And make sure you guys tune into my live streams on Tuesdays and Fridays at 9:30 p.m. We get it in, man. Have a lot of fun, as much fun as you can. We try. This is a dirty job, so we try to make it a little fun. Try to make it a little interactive for the chat and for those of you that join in on StreamYard. So make sure you come by Tuesdays and Fridays, 9:30 p.m. on Ock Nation TV. The link is in the chat. So many stories we cover like this. You would be shocked at how often this happens. Let's just put it like that. And there's no one who wouldn't be shocked. Like, even if you think this happens all the time, you would be shocked at how often this happens. Okay? Especially with the mainstream narrative in this country being the opposite.
Saw this body laying across the street in the grass.
Bradford Gonzalez was awakened early Sunday to a huge police response across from his house. What first appeared to a 911 caller to be a hit-and-run crash turned out to be a double murder. A husband and wife on bicycles riding home from Main Street about 1:30 a.m., viciously killed. Gonzalez, who says his surveillance cameras were out of order that morning, hopes the brutal crime rallies his community.
Get people walking the streets at certain times to let these other people know the neighborhood is alert, the neighborhood is watching us.
If it is totally random, the person responsible has to be deranged.
Police Chief Jakari Young says
Police Chief Jakari Young. Well, where you go, man, it's crazy. The mainstream narratives in this country are they're actually the opposite. So the mainstream narrative is some people are being hunted up and down the countryside by supremacists and racists with pitchforks and torches, and there's nowhere to turn. There's no sanctuary, and we need bills. We need an anti-lynching bill. We need all this different stuff to protect us, man. And we're being profiled, and we don't know why. Can't understand it. Makes no sense. And policing also in this country is nakedly and unabashedly racist to the core. And everywhere we go, it's some people slaughtering gliders, and the police chief in every town we go to. Many towns it's a sister, but in almost every town we go to, it's a son person. How they peddle this narrative, their narrative, to the mainstream.
If it is totally random, the person responsible has to be deranged.
Police Chief Jakari Young says investigators don't know if the murders were random or the result of some kind of altercation. Surveillance from the scene of the crime shows a nondescript man, possibly with a backpack, walking up and down Wild Olive about the same time the couple were riding north, that man being called a person of interest. Police are also searching for video from Main Street to see if something happened there and the suspect or suspects followed the couple.
I want you to look at this. These gliders came down here. All these biker gliders came down here to this town. All these, they, oh my God, in the sundown town. They turned it into a sundown town. All these gliders that would be presumed, without even knowing them, The average Sun person would just throw them, label them, scarlet letter them with, okay, you're racist, just because the way they look. These are Trump supporters. They racist. Thousands and thousands of them came to this city. Not one Sun man or Sun woman has a scratch on them from these people. A broken fingernail from these people. Not one. But some random Sun man took two of them out in a manner that caused the police chief to say that the person who did it had to be deranged.
And the suspect or suspects followed the couple.
We can't rule anything out, but it does not appear to be a robbery, just based on the valuables that were left in their possession.
Despite the busy Bike Week event in the city taxing resources, Chief Young says his detectives are doing all they can to identify and arrest the killer or killers. The nature of the murders have left so many on edge.
We will spare no expense, and we will leave no stone unturned to make sure that this community is safe and feels safe.
Back live now, and according to this bit of new information we got just before we came to you, the folks who found the victims, a man and woman, the man calling 911, both claim that the male victim, the husband, was found lying face down on his chest and the woman face up on her back in this grassy area just behind me. And again, they have now been identified as Terry and Brenda Altman of this community riding north home. We expect to get more information, and of course we'll share it with you as soon as we do. We're live in Daytona Beach, Volusia County. Claire Matz, WESH 2 News.
Good evening. This is News 6 at 7 Getting Results. I'm Lisa Bell.
I'm Ginger Gadsden. Thank you for joining us. Our top story right now, the daughter of a Daytona Beach murder victim speaks out.
They didn't deserve what happened to them, and I just want to thank every single one of you.
She is praising police after the arrest of the man they say stabbed her mother and her mother's husband to death as they rode their bicycles home after Bike Week.
Now you see the sister doing this story, right? Could you imagine if a Sun couple was riding home and old redneck, old glider, man, and did that to them, man? It's funny how this sister gets to report this story with no emotion, man. But that's beside the point, man. Look at his face, man. Unrepentant. He looked like he don't care. No remorse. Just like, y'all caught me. Smiling, smirking. He's supposed to be shivering. Oh my God, he just got caught for whacking out two gliders, man. He lucky if he make it to the precinct, man. Alive, man. Right?
She is praising police after the arrest of the man they say stabbed her mother and her mother's husband to death as they rode their bicycles home after Bike Week. We brought you the emotional news conference live during News 6 at 6. And once again, Police Chief Jakari Young said Brenda and Terry Altman were killed in a random attack. News 6's Molly Reed is live at Daytona Beach Police Headquarters tonight. And Molly, what do we know about the suspect and how they tracked him down?
Well, those are a lot of questions that we still have that Chief Jakari Young says we just don't have the answers to yet, as he is still in Orlando. But this news tonight comes as just a huge sigh of relief for the Altman's family, police, and this city of Daytona Beach residents who've been on edge for the last 4 days. Chief Jakari Young saying that he's confident that they got the person who murdered the Altmans off of the street. Now, we'll go ahead and show you that person that they arrested today. They say that they arrested 32-year-old Jean Macion in Orlando this morning around around 11 a.m. He was arrested by Orlando police and Orange County Sheriff's Office. Now, the chief says he did not have all those details again yet on evidence that led to this arrest. They also don't have the motive yet. They don't know why he would have killed the Altmans. Police say Brenda and Terry Altman were killed Sunday morning. They were randomly attacked on Wild Olive Avenue while riding bicycles home from Bike Week festivities. Police say they were stabbed and their throats were slashed. The chief stressed just how tragic this is, as the couple was doing everything they were supposed to by riding bicycles home from those festivities.
Okay, so yeah, this was like personal yet random. What you see, so if it was such a personal thing, the nature of the crime was personal, but yet it was random. He didn't know the people from a can of paint, had just encountered them for the first time in his life, seconds before he killed them, as if, you know, they ran off with $1 million of his life savings. Like, it just, it would lead one to think, well, there would have to be some hate in there. It may be racially motivated. It may be a hate crime. But we're not going to hear any of that throughout any of the. If I could watch 100, I could show you 100 videos on this from different news organizations and articles as well, and the term hate crime wouldn't come up one time. Yet if a Sun man sneezes and there's a glider in earshot who doesn't say, "Bless you," police will be mulling over hate crime charges. Just mulling them over, seeing if there's anything there. But this, they won't even mention it. It doesn't even come up.
They did it. They literally checked all the boxes. If you're gonna consume alcohol, don't get behind the wheel of a vehicle. So they didn't. They chose to ride their bikes. And if you're gonna go out and you're gonna be out late at night, don't go it alone. Have somebody with you. So they stuck together as a couple. And yet and still, they were attacked and they were murdered. And this is just a reminder of just the evil that exists in our society today.
This is a nightmare that I never expected could ever happen. This isn't real. It doesn't feel real, and I don't think it will ever feel real. I want to thank every single one of you for all of the work you put in to help get this person off the street. I'm sorry, he's not a person, a monster. Get this monster off of the street so that nobody else would get hurt.
Two things, man. Salute to Jakari, man, the police chief, man. He did promise that, I mean, they didn't have nothing to work with, man, except for a grainy picture of a really grainy picture. They couldn't even tell the race of the guy. The footage was so grainy. Video of the person. So they tracked this guy down. They found him in Orlando. Salute to Chief Jakari and his police department. Now, this is the second story in a couple of days where we've heard a glider call a Sun man who's viciously murdered one of their relatives, a monster. Well, hacked him to death. This is the second, yeah. So we did the story the other day. The teen in Chicago hacked the bartender to death, and we're doing this one today. That's a small one. A lot of you guys, like, if you follow the channel, I'm always asking when's the backlash coming, but that's small. They usually refer to them as gentlemen or person. The person who hacked their loved one to death in broad daylight. Seconds after encountering them for the first time. So we're starting to refer to these guys as monsters. It's not a lot. It seems like the bare minimum. But you have to understand the corner these people have painted themselves into with the wokeness, with the whole wokeness. They painted themselves into a corner where Trump supporters racist. Everybody's racist. All right. Everybody's racist. What? Insensitive comments. Tone deaf. Dog whistles, and they pointed and projected and pointed and pushed it to where the point where you can't say anything about a Sunday. And then Summer of Floyd, Blackistani Spring the effect of those times, defund the police, criminal justice reform, no cash bail, and all that stuff started to take an effect. And now these pasty liberals are being slaughtered. Their families are being slaughtered in the street. Not them, but their families, people they know, their neighborhoods are being overrun with crime. And now they are in positions where they have to speak about these same men that they told the world that everyone else, that the other type of gliders, the gliders on the right, were just racist, and calling them and being subtle and slick with names and dog whistles and, slurs and covert slurs and coded language. And now they have to speak about these same men. And for a long time, they used words like person and gentleman. And now it seems like they're not taking the glove off, but they're taking one finger. They pulled one finger out of the glove. And by calling these guys monsters. And that's a huge shift, man.
This is a nightmare that I never expected could ever happen. This isn't real. It doesn't feel real, and I don't think it will ever feel real. I want to thank every single one of you for all of the work you put in to help get this person off the street. I'm sorry, he's not a person, a monster. Get this monster off of the street so that nobody else would get hurt.
Now, police say they are still sorting through all of the tips to determine if someone will get that $50,000 reward, but say they have received over 100 tips from the public over the last 4 days. Now, just after the press conference, I also talked to Sarah Turner, Brenda's daughter. I've been in touch with her over the last week. She was still very overwhelmed, but just thankful for Daytona Beach residents who were calling in, trying to get this person off the streets. And all day today, we were talking to people in that Wild Olive Avenue neighborhood. Again, they were also on edge. A lot of them looking into ways to protect themselves. They have to be breathing a nice sigh of relief tonight. Now, we do know Macian will be extradited back to Volusia County within the next couple of days, possibly tomorrow. That's something that the chief did not know, but we know will be happening pretty soon. Back to you guys.